campus activism, changing admissions policies and stopping the recognition of certain student clubs. In its lawsuit, Harvard accuses the government of violating the First Amendment and calls the freeze arbitrary and capricious. Garber says the demands threaten academic freedom and university autonomy. The White House quickly responded. Spokesman Harrison Fields called federal aid a privilege, not a right, and accused Harvard of failing basic standards. Support for Harvard's legal challenge is growing. The American Council on Education and alumni argue the administration is using funding as leverage. They warn that this case could affect the future of higher education. Well, joining us to discuss this ongoing topic, an ongoing dispute between Harvard and the Trump administration, is Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, who's joining us from New Delhi. Joyita, thank you very much for joining us today. This dispute has been rolling on now for several days, up to weeks almost. The conversation around free speech is one that Harvard is raising, saying that they don't want the government deciding what they do, who they bring into the university and what those students say. Do you think they have a leg to stand on in this discussion?
Actually, I think Mr. Trump also has a point, the university also has a point in terms of, if you're basically, or let me put it this way, the university will ask for autonomy in terms of research and all, and it's a fact that when the money is being cut, it is getting cut also in different disciplines which have nothing to do with activism. But having said that, the kind of precedents, Harvard has a lot of name. It is supposed to be one of the topmost universities in the world. But the kind of activism that we have seen, the kind of anti-Semitism we have seen on campus, and the kind of promotion of woke values that we have seen in Harvard, I mean, frankly, all this has happened. This is a degradation of Harvard's education. It is no longer, education for the sake of education. It is agenda-filled education. It is politicization of the education, and it's very woke. And one of the, if you regard wokeism as some sort of a disease, and it is, which is kind of affecting society, particularly in the West, Harvard is one of the places, it is one of the seats of it. So when Trump is, and you see, Trump is trying to run a government with cutting costs and all that, and he is ruthless when it comes to, sharing and basically cutting off aid to all these universities, which have been promoting a very, I would say, a very toxic kind of ideology. So he is also right up to a level. And let's not forget one thing. One of the it is not just the US government that has been giving money to Harvard. Harvard gets a lot of money from China. And China is surreptitiously promoting, it is called, entropic warfare. It is called a political warfare from inside, where you brainwash your students to such an extent that they start undermining your own institutions. And that is what has happened with Harvard, which is now filled with all sorts of, it is not just Americans. People are coming, the students are coming from all over the world, and most of them are activists. They're coming up with weird researches, and anything that is woke, that is what Harvard has been promoting. So there is and given that the Americans have voted against this, Trump is justified in deciding to cut that allowance, all right, cut that funding. But at the same time, Harvard is also justified when it says that when you are cutting the money, all these other disciplines are also kind of losing money. So it will be an interesting battle, legal battle, that will be fought in the courts, and then it will ultimately go to the Supreme Court. So let's see which way things go.
Yes, Joyita, I want to pick up obviously on some of your comments there, talking about a toxic environment and this, of course, pro-Palestinian movement that we've seen across US universities. There have been arrests made and claims for deportation against pro-Palestinian protesters who are students in the United States. I'm thinking of Khalil, Colombia as well. None of these people have been served with any criminal charges. So in this instance, is this just an issue of free speech and Trump not wanting that free speech if it doesn't agree with his opinion and his agenda?
Well, what is free speech about going around supporting Hamas? All right. Hamas is a terrorist organization. It's a terrorist organ. What is free speech about trying to push, the kind of anti-Semitism we have witnessed, seen on campus, where Jewish students, where they're threatened, where they're frightened for their life. What is free speech about promoting terrorism? And that is what these guys have been doing. They're talking about killing Jews. They're talking about what is that thing about from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What do they even understand what they're talking about? They're talking about another Holocaust. They're talking about exterminating the state of Israel. They're talking about, killing 9 or 10 million people. That is what that slogan means. So this is what the campuses like Harvard have promoted. So is that free speech? Is asking, seeking people's death, extermination, is that free speech? I mean, and who are the people who are doing it? Number one, basically the radicalized, and most of the people, many of these are actually foreign students, and who have been, if you go through the kind of reports that have been coming out and all, majority of them are foreign students. Majority of them, in the name of free speech, they have been doing a lot of activism, which ideally students shouldn't do. It is a time to study, and you want to think about your own future. If you want to go around campus saying, "Oh, we want to kill the Jews,"
Joyita, I'm very sorry to cut you off. Thank you very much for joining us. We do have some